Did you have any weird dreams last night?
Slept like a rock.
Johnny Depp made his acting debut in what became a horror classic as he was taken out by the notorious Freddy Krueger in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Look, we have reason to believe that there might be something very strange going on here.
I'm a big horror film fan, so I did see one of Johnny's very early roles when he was in A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I can't believe how young he looks and cute.
I think everyone who saw Johnny in Nightmare on Elm Street really treasures it for the famous bed scene where, you know, he basically gets eaten by his bed.
Yes, Johnny Depp's first appearance on film, Nightmare on Elm Street, was something to behold, actually. I mean, he plays the boyfriend of the main girl. But the great thing about it is, first of all, his hair, which is completely different to how it's ever been in any other film. And of course, he looks incredibly young.
I don't think overall it was a great role for him. I think it was probably his very first movie. But, you know, it's always good to kind of make your impression with your first film.
I think if you're going to make a film debut and you're going to die in that film, you might as well die in the most spectacular fashion.
Johnny Depp caught a big break when he landed the lead role in the TV series 21 Jump Street. It was all about a group of young cops going undercover in high school. They must have drawn the short straw at Police Academy.
I've seen a bit of 21 Jump Street. I mean, this was the, of course, the TV show that propelled him to kind of teeny stardom, got him on the cover of Tiger Beat magazine, and, you know, and certainly earned the attention of Hollywood.
The television series that made him was 21 Jump Street, which is an interesting collision between a kind of police procedural and high school series. And he played a cop who was so young-looking he could pass for a student, and of course all the crimes that he had to solve were to do with high schools and things like that.
There's about 8 million kids at that school.
Yeah, well, there's 8,000,001 now because your buddy Hanson's about to join the shop class.
He's like a sort of slightly bewildered James Dean figure, but you can see why it became very popular. He just comes off the screen beautifully.
I was at just the right age for 21 Jump Street, the TV series. You know, I would come home after school and watch it, and he became a pinup for a whole generation of girls like me, which was actually something that Johnny Depp really hated and has sought to kind of rail against throughout his career.
What happened to you?
I'm not finished.
Oh! Put those down. Don't come any closer. Just, please.
Johnny certainly wanted to shed his pin-up image, and what better way than by playing a man with scissors for hands?
Those are your hands?
Edward Scissorhands is just an amazing character, a great performance from him. Probably only Johnny could have possibly played that role.
Edward Scissorhands, quite apart from being one of the greatest modern fantasy films of the sort of, you know, the last 30 or 40 years, did really properly introduce Johnny Depp, the actor, because he created a figure in Edward Scissorhands that was both monstrous and innocent and guileless and unbelievably enchanting. It's an amazing performance. He's taken bits of Charlie Chaplin, he's taken bits of Frankenstein, he's taken bits of Struwwelpeter, and he's welded them all together into a character that is obviously a construct, obviously been made, but actually has a human heart beating at the middle of it. And it's a wonderful performance and a wonderful film, and it bears endless reviewings.
Edward Scissorhands is my favourite Johnny Depp film, though, and I will admit that I have been known to shed a wee tear at the end.
Boy, you know what? You're such a big boy.
Yeah.
You're such a big boy.
Oh, big boy.
Hey, you know what? I bet you could do this all by yourself if you really wanted to.
Having made his mark with Edward Scissorhands, Johnny then appeared in a film that was full of future Hollywood stars. Johnny was joined by Juliette Lewis and Leonardo DiCaprio to ask what's eating Gilbert Grape.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape was great for the careers of not just Johnny Depp, but also, of course, Leonardo DiCaprio and Juliette Lewis. It really put them all, you know, firmly on the map.
It was nice to see Johnny Depp sort of playing a normal character and doing it well and being this sort of protective older brother to Arnie, who was played by Leo. And, you know, seeing him in that role, I think it really gave him a new dimension.
Are you sorry? No, I'm not sorry. He's not sorry. We're not sorry. Don't be sorry.
I think in a way they were responding perhaps more to Leonardo DiCaprio's character, but I think we all felt for Gilbert Grape himself, you know, being the elder brother who's trying to do the right thing by his family, but, you know, but had almost given up his whole life to do that.
His relationship with his younger brother, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, who is mentally disabled in some form, is so touching and so heartwarming. And I think that, generally speaking, it's one of the very early examples of films that are made now by a lot of other independent filmmakers, depicting slightly dysfunctional families, but in a very, very realistic way. And I think that's probably a measure of success, because everybody in it is extremely good.
Edward Scissorhands was just the start of the Johnny Depp-Tim Burton relationship. They soon followed up with a biopic of cult filmmaker Ed Wood, director of the notoriously bad Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Ah yes, Plan 9 deals with the resurrection of the dead. Long-distance electrodes shot into the pineal and pituitary glands of the recent dead.
You know, maybe you guys were right. Plan 9 is a good title.
They've made 8 films together, and each of them is special in their own way. I mean, Ed Wood, of course, is, you know, he really went for it with that. You know, he embraced the cross-dressing aspect of it. But I think, you know, it's really all about the relationship between these two, you know, really creative individual people.
How long have you been doing this?
Since I was a kid.
Ed Wood is a cult favourite, partly because film buffs love anything to do with failed filmmakers who are just determined against all odds to carry on making their movies.
Both Edward Scissorhands and Ed Wood are terrifically important collaborations between Johnny Depp and Tim Burton. They're also the kind of the purest expression of their shared love of kind of cheesy B movies, the Ed Wood side of things, and kind of the gothic sensibility of Edward Scissorhands.
I even paratrooped wearing a brassiere and panties. I'll tell you, I wasn't scared of being killed, but I was terrified of getting wounded and having the medics discover my secret.
So you think this qualifies you to make my movie?
Yes.
The collaboration just kept on coming when Burton and Depp chose to adapt the classic American story of Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman.
There is a town upstate, 2 days' journey to the north in the Hudson Highlands. It is a place called Sleepy Hollow. Have you heard of it?
I have not.
Sleepy Hollow, I think, is a very different film, coming very much from the kind of the gothic tradition that characterises Depp and Burton's earliest work. It has the look, it has these kind of great sets, these real proper sets that remind me of kind of old RKO horror movies almost.
Who's there?
And he wheels out this kind of terrific cast of old horror veterans like Michael Gough and Christopher Lee, and terrific Christopher Walken, of course, as the Headless Horseman.
I also liked him in Sleepy Hollow. I mean, his interpretation of Ichabod Crane, playing him as this like frightened girl, modelled, I think, on Angela Lansbury. He was channeling for that.
We're leaving.
What happened?
We're leaving now.
Don't do that, please.
How do you do?
Sorry.
I'd like to apologize for all of us.
Johnny has always veered towards the more unusual parts in his career. He had a standard reply for people with formulaic scripts with generic characters. It's what part of no didn't you understand?
Not a big fan of formula, you know. And I don't know, you can tell where the script is coming from within the first 10, 15 pages. You can tell if the seed is dirty, you know.
And at the turn of the millennium, Johnny fancied a go at foreign accents, playing an Irish traveller in Chocolat.
Tell me something. Why do you give a damn about what these narrow-minded villagers think?
And then taking on a thick East London accent, along with Heather Graham in the gory Jack the Ripper tale, From Hell.
I really do have visions, you know.
Are you serious?
Sergeant Godley calls them my intuitions. As a matter of fact, I have one about you in this case.
From Hell is based on a graphic novel by a guy called Alan Moore, who also wrote V for Vendetta and Watchmen. And he plays Fred Aberline, the Scotland Yard detective who's trying to track down the Jack the Ripper murders. Johnny Depp unveils his English accent, which he will kind of return to again in Sweeney Todd.
This ain't killing for profit. This is ritual.
He has great fun in the Hughes brothers version of Jack the Ripper from Hell as Inspector Aberline. And I think rather because he gets to take an awful lot of laudanum in the course of it. He basically plays a sort of drug addict cop in Victorian England. But in its sort of ridiculously overblown way, I've always loved From Hell. I've always thought it was a really, really fun film to watch.
Jack the Ripper isn't just merely killing whores. He's executing traitors.
He's relatively convincing as a kind of, I suppose, alternative to Sherlock Holmes, you know, another drug addict detective whose sort of brilliance is shadowed by the addiction to the drug or whatever choice he's taking. But yeah, it's fun.
Stay tuned, because when we come back, Johnny stars opposite Al Pacino and becomes a pirate of the Seven Seas. Welcome back to Movie Stars Top Moments, where today we're covering the highs and lows in the career of Johnny Depp.
You don't walk out on me. I walk out on you. You got a car?
I got a car.
Well, let's go get your car.
Now, it must have been daunting to star in a gangster movie with Al Pacino, but Johnny managed to pull it off with the real-life story of Donnie Brasco.
Donnie Brasco sees Johnny Depp playing an undercover cop, and he's going to infiltrate the mob, and he's really taken under the wing of Al Pacino, and then, you know, he becomes conflicted, and he becomes emotionally attached to Al Pacino, but also he's trying to do his job, and, you know, it's a very engaging film.
It was certainly one of the rare hits of Johnny Depp's early career because his choices on the whole were somewhat unusual, and Donnie Brasco, you know, was a kind of more straightforward, you know, undercover FBI agent thriller with Al Pacino.
Right, well, you just got done saying you and Sonny Black are friends.
Donnie,
so, you know.
I got sent for. In our thing, you get sent for, you go in alive, you come out dead, and it's your best friend that does it.
When he does play someone who's perhaps more of a regular guy, I mean, take, say, the undercover FBI agent in Donnie Brasco, I do think he always, because there's something sort of intrinsically interesting about him on the screen, I think he kind of elevates the role.
What a surprise Donnie Brasco was when it came out. We thought, first of all, it was going to be yet another vehicle for Al Pacino, just doing his gangster shtick. And lo and behold, it's a wonderful film. I think it is one of the most important gangster movies of the 20th century, actually.
Hey, Donnie, did I say I was going to get whacked?
Not in so many words. No, but...
I don't understand you, Donnie. How many words does it take?
You're right, I misunderstood.
Mainly because it is completely deglamorized, and it's not about the sort of high-level gangster, it's about the low-level gangster, the guy who's sort of just the runner. So there are a lot of themes going on in there which sort of seed around under the surface. It's also a very interesting example of an older actor taking a younger actor under his wing and drawing out a performance, as Pacino does from Depp, that is entirely credible.
Put it away, son. It's not worth you getting beat again.
You didn't beat me. You ignored the rules of engagement. In a fair fight, I'd kill you.
That's not much incentive for me to fight fair, then, is it?
Johnny had been a star for a long time, but he had yet to have a massive blockbuster hit. That all changed, though, with Pirates of the Caribbean. He based his character on the bizarre combination of Pepe Le Pew and the Rolling Stones' Keith Richards. And Johnny was worried about Keith's reaction. Not so much Pepe Le Pew, though.
The character's main ingredients sort of came out, you know, the idea of mixing Keith Richards and Pepe Le Pew. I was a little worried about what Keith was going to think. I didn't fear Pepe Le Pew, but I was a little worried about Keith.
I think that we have to give an enormous amount of credit to Johnny Depp for the success of Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean, when you think back to when Disney first made the film, everyone said, first of all, pirate movies don't work, audiences don't like pirate movies. Second of all, you're basing it on a Disney theme park ride. This is not a good idea.
Well, well, Jack Sparrow, isn't it?
Captain Jack Sparrow, if you please.
Of course, Disney executives were on the set, freaking out over Johnny's performance, the gold teeth, trinkets in his dreadlocks, his impersonation of Keith Richards. These were not things that were giving comfort to senior executives within Disney. But luckily his director Gore Verbinski protected him, believed in him, and he was right to do that.
This is either madness or brilliance.
It's remarkable how often those two traits coincide.
The first film is brilliant because Johnny Depp it's so unexpected to see Johnny Depp in, basically a Disney-backed film playing Keith Richards. This is the great joke.
That's got to be the best pirate I've ever seen.
So it would seem.
Whatever you think of the Pirates of the Caribbean series, you cannot deny that people just love him in that character. I remember when I did one of the premieres and the whole crowd was dressed as Jack Sparrow and they were all doing this sort of awkward Cockney accent and stumbling around like they were drunk, and it was just very, very funny.
In recent years, the dynamic duo of Tim Burton and Johnny Depp have turned their attentions to adaptations of classic stories. First up was Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street. There's no place like London.
But there's no place like London.
I think that if I was going to watch a Johnny Depp kind of sung-through musical based on a Stephen Sondheim text, it would be Sweeney Todd. I think they absolutely made the best possible movie version of that story. I think it was a great choice for Johnny and Helena and Tim.
I am really not a fan of musicals. I avoid them almost at all costs. So Sweeney Todd wasn't my favorite Johnny Depp outing, but I think he did a pretty good job, and I liked the kind of darker elements of that film, and those are the sort of things that Depp gravitates towards and really excels at.
But Johnny and Tim have also been keen on making films that their kids can see, and so they made an audacious adaptation of Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Johnny even sends his kids out to see the films first.
My kids actually saw the film, and because I haven't, so I send them out there in the front lines. No, they saw it and loved it, absolutely adored it, went crazy, quoting things from it, and just thought it was amazing. Loved every character, and yeah.
But Johnny Depp as the Mad Hatter could have been a quirky overload.
Johnny is already incredibly quirky. When you give him the Mad Hatter, that basically gives him license to go completely gonzo on us.
I am a big fan of Tim Burton, but I think that there was a real over-reliance on CGI, and not even Johnny Depp's performance could really save it from just being a bit bloated.
There's no question about it that something like Alice in Wonderland is completely over the top. In theory, the idea of Johnny Depp playing the Mad Hatter is wonderful. In practice, it is not quite as wonderful as we'd hoped.
I think if he had stripped it right back and kind of gone back to his roots as when he was doing Edward Scissorhands and applied that to Alice in Wonderland, then it would have made it for a really amazing film.
Alice, you're terribly late, naughty.
Suddenly, there was a terrible roar all around us, and the sky was full of what looked like huge bats, all swooping and screeching and diving around the car.
Johnny Depp may be Tim Burton's #1 fan, but he's also very fond of the work of writer Hunter S. Thompson. And wouldn't you know it, they became buds when Johnny starred in Terry Gilliam's adaptation of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Johnny Depp has for a long time had an obsession with Hunter S. Thompson. Now, we all love Hunter S. Thompson's writing, but he's gone a little bit further than that. Terry Gilliam's attempt to film an unfilmable book, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, is a kind of glorious mess. Johnny Depp plays basically Hunter S. and goes so far over the top. I mean, he sort of goes onto another planet and then comes back again.
We can't stop here. This is Bat Country.
What made Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas such a success was Johnny's real commitment to playing Hunter S. Thompson. You know, he's a lifelong fan of Hunter S. Thompson. He also became his friend, and he really just went the whole hog.
Make a right! Make a right! What right? There is no right! Any right!
Johnny would eventually star in another adaptation of a Thompson novel, The Rum Diary, sadly, after his passing this time around.
We worked very hard together to try to get it done. And because it was such a long shot, at that time, you know, the two of us kind of, you know, doing some sort of unexpected tap dance to try to get money for the film.
Johnny Depp is again playing Hunter S. Thompson, or a version of him, in a much more restrained way, thankfully, than Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. One of the producers was Johnny Depp's own production company, and I think this was clearly a passion project for him.
I think perhaps for audiences who have come to see Depp now as a blockbuster actor with the Pirates of the Caribbean movies and Alice in Wonderland and whatever, the idea of him going into a smaller, more personal project didn't really strike a note with them, which is a shame because actually I really enjoyed The Rum Diaries.
What are you smiling at?
I'm not smiling. I'm maintaining a casual face.
You would think that The Rum Diary would be a real home run because it's got Johnny Depp in it, and he's working with Hunter S. Thompson's material, and he's down in Puerto Rico, and he's drunk a lot of the time. And there's Amber Heard, and she looks fantastic, and they have this sort of romance, but it's just actually a bit boring and a bit slow.
Time now to bring up the top film that you probably haven't seen. Every movie star has some great films that just don't qualify as blockbusters, but are definitely worth seeing. In Johnny's case, it's The Mysterious Dead Man from Jim Jarmusch.
It's not bad.
Huh?
It's not a bad illustration of you, William Blake.
Dead Man is a film by Jim Jarmusch with a soundtrack by Neil Young, in which Johnny Depp plays a character called William Blake, who may or may not be dying. The film may be a dying reverie.
You're William Blake.
Yes, I am.
It's shot in black and white. It's a beautiful film. It's an art film, basically, but fantastic.
Justice is what I seek, Kimosabe.
Johnny Depp is still starring in westerns these days, but now he's switched roles and is playing the Native American as he continues to produce huge Disney movies, along with a few independent films thrown in for good measure. Long may it continue.
Let's do this.
Johnny Depp is at his most watchable when he's playing characters that are really larger than life, that are really eccentric and quirky and just a bit crazy.
Something very wrong with that horse.
When he reads a screenplay, he doesn't even read the stage directions, he only reads the dialogue. And it's, for him, it's an opportunity to bring some essence of himself to it. And of course, he's always attracted to parts that allow him to do that.
Why are you talking to that horse? Why am I covered in dirt?
I buried you.
Why am I alive?